journey. Yeah, you see that it's very easy to understand these principles of Eastern wisdom. It is easy to study and easy to study. You can study any books of Eastern wisdom. It is easy to grasp also. What is very challenging is to internalize it. I have studied, I have understood, but did I internalize it? So I did not internalize it. So there will be no change in the lifestyle. I wake up in the morning, even after understanding and grasping, there is no internalization. So the lifestyle will remain the same. What is that lifestyle? I'll have the same challenges. I'm fully busy. I have lot of problems. I have problems of money, or I have more wealth, and long list. I have a headache, so I will not attend the session. And there is a long list. Do you see the internalization? Without internalization, the realization will not take place. It will not happen. So that is why we always say that following the path of the Eastern wisdom is little different than receiving the knowledge from the science and studying the science or engineering or medical. No, I have to internalize it. So first point of internalization, that there is a lifestyle changes. Your behavior, your attitude, your responses to the world changes. So what happens, what changes comes? There is a sign of mental maturity. There is an emotional poise. You are not affected. You are not carried away by those emotions. Normally, people get upset, react, you just casually. There is a sense of intellectual independence. What is that intellectual independence? I have a mouse on the table. So, mouse is an instrument. I am the master. Nothing outside becomes the master. That is one way to say that it is internalization. It is mental immaturity. It is emotional poise. It is intellectual independence. What happens then? So we think, speak, and act with reference to the real self only. That is the first stage of qualification. And that is why we are doing Mondays and Thursdays session to purify the mind. If the mind is not purified, there is no mental maturity. There is other way. There is other way of doing it. Find out you have been listening Saturday's session. So on one day, you sit down and pick up each and every lesson and see, is the mind ready to accept the teaching? It continues to listen, maybe for 5 hours and 6 hours. You are not at all concerned about what is going on outside. What is going on outside? You are not at all concerned. Your mind is totally absorbed. That will tell you that you have internalizing. You have been internalizing this knowledge. Well, you're totally absorbed into that. You're not concerned about, food, I will take the food later. Think, think. This is very important in the journey. If We want to achieve the heights through our Saturday's session. I made it a first point. It is easy to study, it is easy to understand, it is easy to grasp. We need an average intelligence. But then I added one more point. What is that? It is very difficult to internalize. So, how to understand that I have internalized? There is this sense of lifestyle changes. So, what is the who changes the lifestyle? A mental maturity, emotional poise, and a sense of intellectual independence. What is the pointer? Now we think, speak, and act always with reference to the real self. We can spend the whole day in internalizing these principles. So now you may have a question what to do with internalization. What to do with internalization? Obviously, so, what we have done until now, we have done the 360 degree of understanding. Are you clear about it? Yes, I'm clear. Did I internalize it? Yes, I have internalized it. You wake up in the morning and you have headache and you leave everything. You are totally obsessed with it. You did not internalize. It takes time. It takes some time, weeks and months and years to internalize it. If I'm committed, I can really internalize. So, first in the series, we started with 360-degree understanding. And after that, I understood the desire versus the self fulfillment. Then we understand the self inquiry begins by understanding the four desires, the three located outside, fourth inside. I have to be very clear about it 24 by 7. And if I'm very clear about the fourth desire, that is the self fulfillment, it is very easy. I have internalized it. So why I have internalized? Because I have struck a harmony of my outer life and the inner life. Then I raise one question. Can the freedom or awakening take place if we do not balance the other three? Yes. If you are a monk, if you find a good teacher, you get initiated into that monkhood. You have nothing to do with the outer life. And you have a commitment, you have an endurance. You can sit in meditation for a couple of hours. Once you return from meditation, you can spend time in studying. And after studying, you can reflect on it. When you reflect, you are internalizing. But do we have that level of commitment? If not, then I should strike a harmony of the outer life and inner. Where you are, you have to start from there. You have to start from there. And then I made it very clear. I have to contemplate and reflect and internalize that why it is only for the human being, not for other living species. The realization and awakening. In the last session, I took up that are the four problems of the mind. Four problems of the mind. If you have heard it, so remember those four problems of the mind. So you are stuck with one or more of problems of the mind out of the four, then only we fall into ignorance and we forget that, no, leave this, this is nothing. It cannot be achieved. What to do? So that is why we say listening and learning constantly with the teacher, first thing. Second thing, the contemplation and reflecting is the second step. And third is the practice. So, what should happen? No, you already know when you listen to me, these principles of Eastern wisdom, you know what happens to your mind. But our masters are very clear what should happen. What should happen? So, what should happen? So, directly or indirectly, you are listening the teachings about the nature of the real self from the text. So, what should happen? It should develop an intellectual conviction about the metaphysical truth that I am the real self. Intellectual, intellectual conviction. First step. Now, after listening, you sit down almost every day, even for an hour, for example, and you start contemplating and reflecting. You are reasoning to yourself so that you arrive at a logical understanding that you are real self. That removes the doubt, intellectual doubt, and it reconciles the apparent contradictions. If it is not, so teacher is always available to you. So you can ask the question. And after, what happens? After that, you do the practice every day, meditative. You are absorbed, a kind of self absorption is there. What is this self absorption? It is an assimilation of knowledge, what you have studied, what you have grasped. So that results into an experiential realization. Make it very clear the listening and learning provides the knowledge, contemplation and reflection removes the doubts and contradiction. You remove the doubts by yours, and the practice leads to direct experience. So that is why sometimes I say that it is only the three steps. But these three steps are, uh, they contain all the previous steps that I talked about. So the meditation actually helps us to truly knowing rather than just knowing about. Listening and learning, knowing about. Contemplation and reflection, knowing about. I know about Dennis, I know about Ted. But the meditation is knowing, not knowing about. So, on the Saturday session, you have to pay attention. Oh, if I do the meditation, it is all about knowing, not knowing about. I believe you are getting it. That is another way to internalize this knowledge. That is. So, what actually happens? Your mind, there is a shift in your mind. You are not looking for a solution outside. Your lifestyle undergoes a changes. You don't feel a lack or inadequacy in your life. Even you may have a lot of challenges outside, but internalization is done, so you are happy. You examine the motives behind every thought, speech, and action that comes to your mind. You are vigilant throughout the day. You have a sense of calmness that permeates in the morning until evening. I'm throwing a challenge to you. This is the result of internalization. Let us restrict myself to only the two factors, and gradually we will go to the other. So you see, three factors: listening, constant listening and learning. I have an intellectual conviction. Contemplation, reflection, I do it myself to remove the doubt. I follow the logical reasoning, cause and effect reasoning. For example, whatever is changing in the world is not me. So I become aware of my home, not me. I become aware of the body. Say, for example, I become aware of my mind and the thought. I become aware of my breath. Then what is left? Nothing is left. So when we reflected, whatever is changing is not me. Your mind naturally gets absorbed deeper inside. There is a kind of self absorption. So, first time we recognize wherever there is a change, mind recognizes it is the external world. So, then what happens? You close your eyes and you know you are self absorbed. Are you not aware of those changes? Yes, you're aware of those changes, but you know freely. That is one way to say the internalization. So once this internalization takes place, your mind is now committed. You have a mental maturity, you have an emotional poise, you have an intellectual freedom. What is intellectual paralysis? I'm fully busy. Look at him, he's wasting his time. Why I'm saying so? Because, I'm totally involved into the business. It may be a failure in the business. So if you have understood that process of internalization until now, then what happens? Then we have to follow different steps. The first step is the Mangalacharan. I've talked about it. So Mangalacharan means, Mangal means auspiciousness and Charan means behavior. So I should invoke auspiciousness the moment I wake up, and it should continue throughout the day. We will talk about it. Namaste is another form of Mangalachara, but it has to be done with the internalization. That is the first step used by every master during the last 10,000 years. We will understand what it is, how to introduce it in our life, and how to practice. The second step is the four. Second step is known as the four connections. So if I put it in a modern word, I structure the self-inquiry. Means a seeker structures how to structure the self-inquiry. You want to find a place, so you go to the Google, internet connection should be there, browser should be there, name of the place should be there, and you see, lot of stuff is there involved. So the second step is how to structure that inquiry, self-inquiry. You should be very clear. So we should frame how to structure the self-inquiry in four steps. Now I have structured the self-inquiry, but my mind is not listening to me. My intellect is filled with lot of challenges. So again, we have four steps. Four steps, so that what happens? I increase my cognitive ability, or you can say, I increase my mental maturity so that I can prepare the mind for the journey of the self discovery. I start with an invocation. What is that invocation? Just an idea, okay. I am going to find the real self which lies within me, beyond the body mind complex, or I do the namaste, internalizing that namaste. Second step is I structure the inquiry. So once I structure the inquiry, so there is a challenge of the mind and emotions. So I have to meet those challenges. I reach to a state of mental maturity. I'm going to talk about these in detail. Now, what happens? These first three aspects are done mentally and intellectually. But the mind does not want us to change our behavior and attitude outside. Uh, oh, yes, you are very good. I'm absorbed into meditation. It's a very good sharing of experiences. But after that, I return from that state of meditation. I become the same person. What to do? That is what the fourth step is, what is known as the karma yoga. Whatever I have realized, internalized, I put into my behavior, expression, and action. If I don't put it, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. Remember this. So you can find out yourself that where is the problem. So the fourth step is the active. If I use the word in a modern language, it's an active engagement. I'm training the mind. How I am training the mind? I become a contributor outside. I've just become a contributor by selfless action, changing my mental attitude. First, I will the mental attitude inside. What is the selfless action? I've told you selfless action that I'm not a consumer. First, selfless action that, second point, that I'm not attached or detached to anything outside. I become aware. Oh, I'm attached. No, I will not perform an action unless I remove this attachment first. I will do the action for the sake of an action is karma yoga. It has to be done all the time, 24 by 7. What is going to happen? Not only it purifies the mind, it makes your life so easy, rewarding. You don't see the difference between your business activity and taking a shower. It's a selfless action. Every time you're just enjoying that state. We'll talk about it, It is a step by step process. The fifth step, what happens, in the fourth step, the karma yoga? You start exploring the doer, that ego, which is the doer, dissolves. We'll talk about it in detail, each and every step. The fifth step, what happens when the ego dissolves, when the I-ness is not there? Don't you use the I word outside? Yes, you use it. But because you have internalized the knowledge, your attitude has changed. That I-ness, so you have a surprise. You are amazed with the word. Even without the I, you continue your journey. So your mind expands. You start looking at the existence. You have a love and emotion for that existence. That is what the Jesus says, love is God. That is the fifth step. I normally say, oh, Jesus said love is God, but I'm attached. For me, attachment is God, not love is God. And there we miss the point. Fifth step. The sixth step, now the sixth step, which I just explained before. What is that? Then your mind is really fit, your intellect is fit to listen and learn, to contemplate and reflect, and to do the practice. Someday you find now your mind says, oh, on the weekend, I have a time. Your mind is attracted to that journey. You say, okay, I will listen each and every talk, and then I will contemplate, and let me see if my mind can remain absorbed throughout the day, maybe 6, 7 hours. You have to check it one day. No, no, I'm very busy. You are busy, then you are not a seeker. Do you see that? I'm very busy. You're not a seeker. We have bypassed that level. So then what happens? The next step. The seventh step, now you can understand what exactly is insight, what is intuition, what exactly is the mind reading. These are the different higher states of the consciousness. So we are not going for a mind reading or intuition or insight. These are the higher states of the consciousness that is revealed in you by the meditation. Patanjali has explained 7 different types of meditation, different stages of meditation. What is the next step? So there we really understand clearly what is awakening, what is realization, what is transformation. We'll understand these 3 words clearly. What is the 9th step? How many steps? No, nine steps I know. I just categorize into 9 steps. 9th is the last one. So what happens with the 9th? Nothing happens. It is just a joy of conscious living. What is already within you, you realized. What do you mean by it? You wake up in the morning, you recognize that there is a peace. You have to go to the restroom. So from peace, your activity moves from the peace to peace, happiness to happiness, joy to joy. Oh, let us go to that restaurant and have a food. Oh, yes. But internally, you are aware. I'm moving from happiness to happiness, not from the ego, but you have a realization. So what happens? In the 9th step, that is the ultimate step. You just have a play and a fun in your life as long as your body exists. After, I'm talking about after awakening, realization, and transformation. Let us pick up a little deeper into all these 9 steps. The first step I said, Mangala Charan. So I invoke, even if I have to start the journey, any journey, you sit on a for a dine to eat some food, or you are sitting in a restaurant, but there is a motivation inside that let me clear my bowels, let me take a shower. So I should consciously think, let me find the real self. You see, Mangalacharan. Namaste is also the way to find the real self. Namaste really means I'm you and you are me. There is another meaning. Nama. Nama means I do not exist. And that ego does not exist. Only you. And what is that you? That is the existence. I'm taking you to second step. Do you remember structuring the inquiry? I have to structure the entire inquiry in my mind and intellect. Based on the teachings of the Eastern wisdom, I should not structure the inquiry by myself. Do you structure the lesson of physics by yourself? Or chemistry, or astronomy, or internet, or mobile phone? You have a manual, isn't it? So that manual is passed on to you by the teacher. So I structured the inquiry accordingly. What is self? What is bondage and liberation? What I have to do with the bondage and liberation? What exactly is the suffering? And then third step is we prepare the mind. We need another level of internalization of the mind and the mental maturity. And I have discussed in detail about this many a times. There are four steps: discernment, dispassion, six treasures, and the intense desire for the. Now you see that, I have studied, yes, you told me there is an intense desire for freedom and for awakening. You wake up in the morning, you have a headache. That intense desire leaves you. You are attached to something and you cannot fulfill your desire. You are angry and agitated. Where the intense desire has gone? It is gone. Are you understanding? That is why I started with that. I have an intellectual understanding. I told you, it is very easy to understand these principles, grasp it. You can have an intellectual understanding. What is required is internalization. I've been teaching for almost for the last 40 years the same stuff. Have you seen that I feel bored? I have to teach the same stuff. No. Oh, your mind is totally absorbed into that state. So you prepare the mind. The fourth step, we have purification through service. I'm using another word. Purification through the service means karma yoga. Karma yoga means attitude inside my head is changed. What is that attitude? It is not a consumer now, it is a contributor now. So when you are a contributor, you perform a selfless action. When you perform a selfless action, what happens? Your mind expands. But in this step, you are experimenting all the previous steps in your attitude, in your behavior, in your action. Karma yoga. So you minimize the occurrence of that ego. What is ego? Which does the selfish action, which is a consumer of the world. Internally. So what happens? We get some sense of, you get an insight. Oh, there is some existence. There is only one existence. You experience it. And then what happens? Then you pass through the different, you continue listening and learning. So what the teacher does, teacher picks up the group, says, okay, let us start teaching this first level, then second level, then third level. So all our texts have a different gradations depending on the group. So you start learning and learning. And so we understand what exactly is the mental maturity. When the mind is 100% available to you, it is the mental maturity. But at present, I will talk about it. Mental maturity is that you are reducing your attachment and detachment. So level of understanding, level of your awareness goes up. So that is why in the seventh step, because you followed all these steps in a series, you enter into the meditative state even while listening these principles. I started with that statement in the very beginning, but after you follow all these steps, you can be into the state of meditation just by listening and observing, not sleeping a show. So, so there you understand the different stages of meditation. Eighth step, I told you art. I use the word acronym art, awakening, realization, and transformation. What exactly is awakening? What is realization? What is transformation? And we realize that no, I'm undergoing a transformation. No, today I have a realization. And the last step is joy of conscious living. I just make it joy of conscious living. Now you are totally free. There is a sense of freedom, what you can say, a liberated state. So every person, because of its past impression, lives into that state. One master I remember, he earned almost $400 million and he transferred and he built a hospital in India, which is still existing, only for the needy people. There is another master who has written 200 books just to pass on the knowledge. So it depends on each teacher, each person, what he or she has to do. So today I just explained you about those 9 steps. So from each and every step, we will pick up. First step, remember the first step is invocation, or you can say the Mangalacharan, or I can say you set the context. You see, that is how we understand intellectually. Oh, the teacher goes to the class and he gives a story, and by an example, he sets the context of the topic. That is what the Mangalacharan is. So every time I start with the Mangalacharan, I set the context. It may be the desire for purity of the mind. It may be getting rid of the attachment. It may be let me have the grace, let everyone be happy. There are many ways. We will talk about it. Namaste to everyone. You don't leave. You do even namaste to your son and kids. So there you will find out whether your ego is working or not. So we will talk about it that. So there are many mantras pertaining to this, and every mantra has its any method. Second is you frame, you structure the inquiry. Understand, think of this. Listen to this talk and think of yourself that how you can structure the inquiry, the self-inquiry. You structure the inquiry whether there is any moon in the, any extra moon in the, for the earth. You structure the inquiry in astronomical ways. You see, there is nothing like blind belief. I just want to make you clear. So you structure the inquiry in 4 different steps. You should know the subject should be clear. You should know that you are a committed seeker. You should know the motivation of this inquiry, the result. That is structuring the inquiry. Not only that, You know the cause and effect. Structured blueprint yields effective achievements of the purpose. That is what we do in business. So, well constructed foundation for self inquiry. So, people miss these steps and they say, I've been practicing meditation for years together. It does not bring the result. So now I have structured the inquiry, but I have bottlenecks. I feel a lot of challenges in my life. So every master, all these masters have taught us the same thing. They said it is you have to get rid of these obstacles by the next step. Means I have to raise my cognitive ability to prepare the mind and intellect. I'm just making it very simple if you remember these. So once I follow, then what happens? Now I have internalized everything until this step. Now, for example, you have created an image about someone in your family and you talk in a specific way, you get irritated. You have to drop this idea. How? By the next step, that is the karma yoga. So you crush your ego and you say, Namaste. Internally, you are getting hurt because your ego is hurt and you want to hurt your ego to the maximum until you change internally. Just sitting in meditation and closing the eyes, we can reach to the awakening now. Not possible. Be ready to undergo a tough challenges. Now, what happens once we start doing it, then what I said, the Jesus, love is God. We recognize that very existence at the emotional and the mental level. Oh, not only you recognize, you experience. You feel as if you are an instrument. But unless these previous steps are done, then only we have those things. Then now see that now you have a little bit of insight. Your mind is calm. You cannot be adversely dictated by the outer situation, people, business, profession. Your mind is now more or less the foolproof. Then the real listening starts from the teacher. So, what is that real listening? You listen to it, you grasp it, you have an intellectual understanding, and now you know how to internalize. You start internalizing, contemplating, and reflecting. And you see, it has been almost 2 hours. I'm totally absorbed into that. That will tell you yes. That will tell you the, and then we have different stages of we recognize, and that we will recognize from according to the Patanjali. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. You're clear about the journey. Eyes are closed means symbolic. It is purely symbolic. What is symbolic? Eyes are closed. I talked about it a couple of times before that sense perception cannot help me to find the real self. So it is a symbolic eyes are closed. You are just aware. Aware of the sound and the taste and the temperature, everything is there. So you have a cognition that the sense perception is not going to help me in finding the real self. I should have a mental, subtle perception in the beginning, and subtle perception with discernment and dispassion is what we say the third eye. Just for the sake of settling down, we still now these they become ritual for a higher seeker, the place of practicing meditation. Naturally, you become aware of the surrounding, or if I say the space outside the body, the room, the articles in the room. It's so casual. Why? Why we become aware of the space? Our senses are active during the waking state. So I mentally perceive I'm developing my cognitive faculty. And understand, my friends, that surrounding just outside the body, surrounding is always good. My mind makes it bad because of attachment. You see the cognitive ability. But at the same time, I also recognize that I have created a boundary for I-ness with reference to the body. What is outside the body is the world. So it means I am the body. You see, such a sweet delusion created by the mind. Where is the boundary? Where is the boundary? The I ends and the world starts. Can you really define it? So we keep that question and awareness, and we see, yes, position of the body is comfort. Yes, that comfort is okay, that relaxation is okay, that steadiness is okay, but main concern where I begins, I ends, and the world starts. See that? Are you comfortable? Yes, I'm comfortable. So where the comfort has started and where it ends. Because I say I'm comfortable. I'm just preparing your mind for a next lessons. Have you ever thought where the comfort? I feel the comfort, no doubt. I feel comfort. Our question where the comfort starts and where it ends, or it does not end at all. Because if I don't inquire these questions, I will definitely move to uncomfort and the comfort every time. Do you see these questions for the inquiry? So can I say that this is just a kind of ritual? You are doing it, or you can say the step, or you can say it's a non-practice. I'm just exploring. For a seeker doesn't mean that you're not doing any practice until you become a highest level of a seeker, where your practices merges with the knowledge, with the cognition, with an ability to know, cognitive ability, then the practice has no meaning. It becomes a non-practice. The mind, habitual mind, baffles, where I begin and where I end, or where I end, there the world begins. Can I really say with certainty? But at the same time, I am also in the state of comfortable. Okay, but where it begins, where it ends. The master says it ends in begins from the consciousness, it ends in the consciousness. And if the consciousness is all pervading, then 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 am I the consciousness? So you see, you raise a doubt on our habitual conditioned mind that I'm the body mind complex. If you don't raise the doubt, how can you inquire? We are not going with a blind belief. Being carefree, I've been using these steps even as a non practice, being carefree. How do you know that you're uncomfortable? How do you know that you are at unease? How do you know that you're listening to me? It is all through the mind. And all in the form of a thought, feeling, and emotion. But I'm not the mind. They are the contents of the mind. Comfort is the content of the mind, and comfort is the content of the mind. Thought that I'm passing on to you is also a content of the mind. Are you listening? Or you are listening to your uncomfort? Or you are listening to your thoughts? Or you're listening to your past impression? You see, that is why we need all those 9 steps. In a simple way, we have already understood, grasped, but do you really internalize it? What is that? Thoughts are coming and going. They have nothing to do with me. Are you sure? Are you clear? And if you're sure and clear, according to Patanjali, we say you have separated the knower from the known, seer from the seen. observer from the observed. Did you are separated? No, they are already separated. They are already separate. You simply had the cognition of that. What the cognition does, my friends, that cognition, or if I say the recognition, or still I can say that very awareness, leaves you totally absorbed within. Thoughts are still there outside, but they are separate. Everyone knows who have attended my sessions, I always use the word, oh, being carefree is like you're the traffic on the road and you are standing across. So standing across is one, traffic on the road is two. They are totally separate. That cognition. I can say cognition, understanding, internalization, awareness, cognitive ability. Can I say it is a meditative state? Yes. But during this separation, sometimes we feel sleepy, sometimes we feel in rush of the thoughts from the past, sometimes we feel discomfort, unease, and they are the impurities of the mind. Because I am the consumer, I have yet to become a contributor. I'm using the same words, which I discussed, so that it becomes easy for you to grasp it, to internalize it. How easy it is to understand that you are standing across a road, not into the traffic. And then I say this traffic is a mental traffic. So you are not inside the mental traffic, you are away from it. Now you see, how can you internalize it? Did I make myself clear? Grasping, understanding is not a big deal. Not a big deal. Internalization, cognitive ability, a new level of awareness is what is required. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Let's share our experiences. Your experiences is nothing but the reflection. So, how are you, David and Jerry?
Thank you, sir. Um, I don't really have words to describe the lesson. It was just it's not a journey as much as it's a lifestyle that just needs to be every day. We need to soak in these new lessons and make adaptations, and we're never there. It'll be a constant process and a constant work to get there. And the as far as the meditation, it was simple and deep and very freeing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You rightly started. You have to be there. And when you are there, what is that it means? It's a cognition, it's an awareness, nothing else. I saw the Jesus in my meditation. No, that has nothing to do with it. Or Buddha. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. The calmness is always there, so never ends. And if we take that calmness when we know who we are, then the intellect is inspired right away
Yep.
to see how can we contribute. So if we find ourselves ever looking at the difficulty or not wanting to see the whole picture, then we know that's the ego or delusion or something that we're attached or want to detach from. But if we always know that we want to see the whole thing so that we can be clear and move forward with grace and humility, and the peace, and then that will contribute in the right way.
Beautiful. What Jerry is referring to, that instead of selfish action or selfish behavior, just remember this: I'm a consumer. Selfish means that I have a strong likes and dislikes. I have a sense of attachment and detachment. Now you drop everything. So when you drop this, that very I undergoes a transformation. Now you see there is a way to contribute. Where you are, David and Jerry. So every day in the morning, so you internalize that I'm contributing to one life. You discussed with me about David Mom. I'm contributing. In what way I should contribute to this life? And that is what you are doing. But I have to consciously think. So this is translated into an action. I have not to label that they are related to me. I have to see as a contributor. And that goes a long way. So we can do in each and every action. Beautiful. How are you, Stephen?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate how you bring the weeks and months of lessons all together in a single day. And today was like multiple aha moments, even though I understand the principles. As David said, it's an ongoing journey. But today things just felt different and meant different ways to me, of the way you brought it together. And one thing that stands out, I have a quote that sits on my wall over here, that this seer is established in his own essential nature, and I read it every single day. And today it actually means more to me than it ever did before. So I thank you for that. As far as the meditation goes, it's just this moment of realization. And when you said close your eyes, everything went away. The knowledge, the contemplation, the reflection. It was time to transform, and be with myself, and that was successful. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it is good, I'm reminding you all again that today is the ninth session. I restarted, from 1 to 9. So you have to look back all the 9 sessions, listen to it, and you have any doubt, anyone has a doubt, they can definitely, you can raise the question and we will take care. But now from onwards, today onward, we are going deeper into these 9 steps. The first step is the Mangala Charan that I will take up the next lesson. How are you, Brandy?
Morning, I'm good, thank you. I realized today during the lesson that the work I need to do is sort of the internal part is the ego crushing and the external part is the selfless acts. And so I was like, okay. And then when you were talking about like, where's the boundary? There isn't one there. And then the other, like the missing piece for all of it, for where I am today was like, who is the mindless, or what is the mind listening to during the meditation? And sometimes it's listening to itself, and that's a problem. It's not because I can't do the ego crushing work and the selfless acts when the mind's got the mic.
So
So
that is why we have all those 9 steps.
right.
And your mind reflected rightly. So where I begins and where I end, so that the world starts. And we can easily find out it is the false I. One thing is very clear. We have yet to reach to the real self, but one thing is very clear. Oh, it is the crazy I. It is the false I. Oh, you did not say I'm so beautiful. Now, see, I'm referring to my body mind complex. Huh? That is also I. I created a boundary. So you did not appreciate, my intellect. Now the intellect I has created a boundary over the intellect. I is the mind, I is the body, I is the thought. What I is not. I is attachment. Is there a boundary? No. Beautiful. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you for a structured and very logical overview of the path today. And my contemplation today was about this internalization that you are talking about.
Yeah.
What happens to my understanding is when the intellectual knowledge meets our perception, it comes in conflict. So the knowledge in the intellect tells one thing, and the actual perception is different. And
Beautiful.
from there we have two ways. We can either believe our perception and go on living habitually on autopilot, or the other way, we can raise doubt about the validity of the perception, not the validity of the teaching, but the validity of the perception. And this is actually the start of this internalization. When I start understanding how exactly and where exactly my perception is false, and where exactly the teaching, the understanding is true.
What a beauty. What I cannot explain in my words, you have explained it. And that is what is the power of contemplation and reflection. So you have to listen to him more in this session than mine. So where the internalization starts. Are you clear? Oh, this guy is crazy. This is my perception. For example, or my honey is crazy, for example. So this is my perception. My perception means this is I perception without any examination. It carries the impression of likes and dislikes. So, what is internalization? So, can I continue to carry on that perception of my honey, or should I be ready to change that perception? If I'm ready to change the perception, the internalization process has started. Beautifully put. I appreciate. I know I have told you that Dennis used to ask these questions very logically in these years, but I never answered clearly to him because he has always been in a different group. So, so he is in the right group. So, how are you, Terry?
Uh, I'm good, but I don't really have words for my state.
No worries. Today, you spend the day, and as everyone talked about it briefly in a different way, where is you? The boundary begins and ends.
Okay.
And body cannot be the boundary. The world starts outside the body, not at all, because I am not the body. So you live into that awareness. When you live into that awareness, that is internalization. And when you have internalized, you have a cognitive perception. I'm not the body. And when you have that cognitive perception that I'm not the body, do you suffer from Parkinson?
Uh-huh. Oh,
When you
no,
are not the body?
not I.
When you are not the body?
No, only
No,
the body.
body. But don't focus on
I.
the body, focus on yourself.
Right. Oh, that's the only way
That
that
is what
I can.
internalization is. That is another example of
That
it.
is to keep remembering who I am is
Yes.
how I tolerate the circumstances.
There is a
Uh,
little mix up.
uh,
Once I know that I'm not the body, nothing to tolerate.
uh.
Ah,
Well, I would like to move the body, but they won't allow me. But I'm not frustrated because
we will
I'm enduring
enduring
that.
it. That too is good. That belongs to uh, our Mondays and Thursdays session.
Yeah.
How are, how are you, Ashok?
Sir, namaste. I am good and very peace. Mind during the practice even. The mind was very peace and
Good.
comfortable. And I mean जो आपने आज एक्सप्लेन किया ना उसको I will apply to my family, then I will let you know.
Yes, yes.
You know the
Apply
what the tension is going as.
family,
So
apply to yourself is internalization.
I understand. I will. Yes, you are right. So I will apply to myself. Then I will let you know the results.
If you apply to the family, it will backfire.
Thank you. Uh, I take my words back. I take my words back, and you are right. Rightly said. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, and thank
Thank
you everywhere. Thank you very much, everyone.
thank you.